Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herald here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold. It is, what is today? Wednesday? Today's Wednesday. Tonight's the Power Hour. It's been a blur lately, guys. Been working on this little project behind the scenes and kind of been lost in a little bit, but yeah, plenty going on. A lot of weird narratives being pushed. We got some old Devo things that have been happening. We'll talk about some executive orders that we've been keying in on. How's the chat doing? I see Ty says, is it Friday yet? Happy Devoversary, John. Oh yeah, yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of my first ever Devolution Power Hour, the first ever stream to the Badlands Media, formerly Patel Patriot Rumble channel. Exactly 4 years ago yesterday. Let me pull that up. Look how silly I look in this picture. Look at that little guy. 9/9 of 2021. It sure has been a roller coaster of a ride. But thank you. PJ, good to see you, man. PJ kind of kicked my butt in fantasy football this last week. Robin Carroll, I was there 4 years ago. Proud to say. Jackie Espada, you're still silly looking. I resent that statement. Tommy's Russell, congrats on 4 years. As someone who's been here for almost all of it, it's greatly appreciated. And I greatly appreciate you guys. Yeah, this somebody says it looks like you shot that in your dorm room freshman year. I definitely didn't shoot in the dorm room. I shot it in the basement of my old house. And then I went to my parents' basement for a little while. Now I'm here. Ash says, you have more gray hair now, Infowar and such. Yeah, more gray hair. I'm thinning out a little bit on top. Must be the stress. Scheisler, congrats. Patel picture I was watching. Good to see you, Scheisler. Yeah, I can't believe it's been 4 years. Anyway, let's get a quick word from sponsor of today's show, and then we'll get into what's been happening. First up, we have some River Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been inching its way back up a little bit lately. Went down as low as like 109 or something. Could be wrong on that. But anyway, are you ready to stack some sats? River's got your back because they're Bitcoin only, built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. With River, you get 0 fee recurring buys. Set it and forget it every hour, day, week, or month to grow your Bitcoin effortlessly. 3.8% Bitcoin interest on cash, FDIC insured, no minimums, no hidden fees, and withdraw anytime to supercharge your savings. US-based human support from an expert client services team, plus private client services for buys over $100,000. Business accounts to invest in Bitcoin, strengthen your balance sheet, and earn that earnings that at 3.8% interest paid in Bitcoin, which is amazing. So you put your savings in, they pay you in Bitcoin. It's awesome. Best-in-class wallet for easy sending, receiving, and managing your Bitcoin on one secure platform, and so much more. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/river. That is where I get my Bitcoin from when I make my purchase, and that's where Badlands gets its too. We did finally start a Badlands Media River account. Gosh, it was when G Money was at the Bitcoin conference. He's like, you need to do a Badlands Strategic Reserve, and so we did. I think we posted about it on Twitter too. But anyway, on top of that, guys, if you're gonna get Bitcoin, you also got to get a Trezor. It's a cold storage wallet, so the hackers can't get it or anything. Highly encourage you to do that. We have an affiliate over there as well, badlandsmedia.tv/Trezor, Trezor. They have over 2 million trusted users, and I am one of them. Anyway, let's start plugging away. There has been no update on the Doge website, but that is kind of to be expected considering they just updated it yesterday. I'm sorry, I got to pull a story here. I don't want to get to later. that I forgot to pull earlier. No update on the Doge website, or sorry, the presidential website, but we did get this. This is on the Federal Register. It wasn't put out there on the presidential website. He doesn't put his continuations, not all of them anyway. And this is one we've keyed in on many times over the years. You know, the last few, especially with Biden in there, it's like, why does he keep continuing this executive order? And that's Executive Order 13848. Executive Order 13848 declared a national emergency. I can even show you guys that if you want. And although there's been no evidence of a foreign power altering the outcome or vote tabulation in any United States election, foreign powers have historically sought to exploit America's free and open political system. In recent years, the proliferation of digital services and internet-based communications has created significant vulnerabilities and magnified the scope and intensity of the threat of foreign interference, as illustrated in the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment. And you know what? That is interesting. I forgot that this executive order even drew attention to that because, you know what? Actually, we did talk about this a while ago. It was this assessment which is essentially led to the whole Russia collusion hoax. I mean, it was clearly kicked off well before that, but this was the intelligence community like kind of going all in on it. And ironically, this was also used to implement this executive order, which I think could eventually end up being revealed as one of the more significant executive orders that Trump ever issued. Not the most. I do still stand by 13961 being that. There's also the human trafficking and corruption one of 13818 that I think is a big one too. But anyway, to deal with this threat, he declared a national emergency. Every year, national emergencies that are the basis of executive orders have to be renewed or continued. And Biden did it. Trump did it in 2019, again in 2020, and then Biden did it all 4 years of his presidency. And now this is Trump's first time renewing this national emergency during his term. So 7 times in total, this national emergency has been continued. Executive Order 13848. Pretty nuts. And yet we still have not seen the big election evidence, foreign interference reveal that we all kind of believe is there and have been expecting. So maybe that'll come someday. Bravest CC, I will be fine every day until it's negative 40 degrees in Bismarck. Perspective. Why are we talking weather? Bravest, I wouldn't say this was my favorite EO until I discovered 13961. 13961 is definitely still my favorite executive order. And speaking of that, we're still waiting on Trump and his team to address that. Let me put this out here and show you what I'm talking about. Because it was a while ago, I think back in March. Yeah, March 19th. Achieving efficiency through state and local preparedness. This is a new executive order, Trump 2025, and they are looking into Executive Order 13961, the National Continuity Policy. The policies to be reviewed and recommended for modification as appropriate include Executive Order 13961. There it is. Then also all the stuff that Biden did, including his new National Security Memorandum, which was the National Continuity Policy, and Executive Order 14146, which was the partial revocation of all the good parts that we believed implemented devolution of 13961. We still haven't gotten this. 180 days. What's 180 days from March 19th of 2025? Let me look that up. What is 180 days from March 19th, 2025? Oh my gosh, that's 5 days from now. What? We're going to talk about this in the Power tonight, I think. But 180 days from the date of that executive order is September 15th, 2025. Boom. That is next Monday. What are they supposed to do here? Let me just double check this one more time. They shall review and recommend to the president revisions. So we might have some modifications to this coming up. That's juicy. September 11th is tomorrow, guys. We are going to do a stream. What did we decide on doing there? Let me double check that too. I'm all out of whack today, guys. But we are going to do a stream starting at, oh yeah, so we were originally going to do like a Codex 9/11 watch party type thing before and kind of during all the evening shows tomorrow. And we ended up switching it because Rug Pull Radio, G Money has a great guest, General Quas. Encourage you guys to watch that. Always Signal. And so what we decided to do is instead, we're going to do after Rug Pull Radio's over, we're going to have like a little discussion. And I think Brad is going to air the documentary on his own channel as well. So that'll be earlier in the day, maybe 5:30, 6:30 Eastern. And then later on, we're going to have a discussion on it. So stay tuned. Grok says it's tomorrow, Ricky Irish. That can't be true. Kelly Loves Oak. Okay, dish is done. Pumpkin patches and moving. I am keeping track. Yeah, the pumpkin patch, I think, opens next week here in North Dakota. CC, what are you talking about, Travis Matthew for? I was just thinking we need to get John a shirt with his favorite executive order on. Okay, I see what you're saying. The only shirts I wear, like I don't even really wear Badlands gear because those shirts they're too short on me. I've said that before. And the shirts that fit me are the Travis Matthews ones. So if I can get some stuff like ironed on, I'd always wear Badlands merch. I mean, let's talk about some of these interesting Truth Social posts from Trump. Was this today? This was yesterday afternoon after my show. This morning, this is talking about the attack from Israel on Doha. There's some weird contradictions in this post, and so we're going to talk about it. This morning, the Trump administration was notified by the United States military that Israel was attacking Hamas, which very unfortunately was located in a section of Doha, the capital of Qatar. This was a decision made by Prime Minister Netanyahu. It was not a decision made by me. So keep that in mind, because I'm going to bring this back up in a little bit. I wonder if I can highlight it. I can. Nice. Unilaterally bombing inside Qatar, a sovereign nation and close ally of the United States that is working very hard and bravely taking risks with us to broker peace, does not advance Israel or America's goals. However, eliminating Hamas, who have profited off the misery of those living in Gaza, is a worthy goal. I immediately directed Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to inform the Qataris of the impending attack, which he did, however, unfortunately, too late to stop the attack. That is also another interesting nugget. I view Qatar as a strong ally and a friend of the United States and feel very badly about the location of the attack. I want all of the hostages and bodies of the dead released and this war to end now. I also spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu after the attack. The Prime Minister told me that he wants to make peace. I believe this unfortunate incident could serve as an opportunity for peace. I also spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for all their support and friendship to our country. I assured them that such a thing will not happen again on their soil. Whoops. Copy that one. I've directed Secretary of State Marco Rubio to finalize the defense cooperation agreement with Qatar. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Two things here I believe kind of contradict each other, and that's the first highlight and the last highlight. This was a decision made by Prime Minister Netanyahu. It was not a decision made by me. So he gets told by Netanyahu, we're going to bomb this place. Very little notice. He can't do anything to stop it. He even had his own envoy, Steve Witkoff, go warn them. That's interesting. He says he did, but he didn't get there in time, whatever. I mean, who knows if this is even a true post, right? Like we don't know if this is exactly how it actually happened. It's Trump's talking about on True Social. He could just be trying to save face in the narrative aspect of things. We don't know. But the two things that contradict each other is that this is a decision made by Prime Minister Netanyahu. It was not made by me. It's one that he didn't like, but he couldn't stop it apparently, which that doesn't even make sense. But then he goes on to assure them that such a thing will never happen again on their soil. Those two things contradict each other because he's making it seem like it wasn't his fault. It wasn't up to him. He couldn't do anything about it. He tried to warn you, but he wasn't in time. He couldn't stop Israel from doing this attack. Yet he somehow was able to assure them that it's never going to happen again. What if Israel and Netanyahu decide to do it again and just give us a heads up, but don't, like, we couldn't stop it this time, we're told, kind of. How are we going to stop it next time? So there's the fact that there's a contradiction within itself here kind of makes me think that, and it's not even kind of, it very much makes me think that this is not how this situation went down in the slightest. And I'm not claiming to know how it did go down, but this isn't it. This is the face-saving post from Trump. Little CYA. But I'm not buying it. How many times? I've always told you guys, you can't take what Trump says at face value. And it's not necessarily because he's a liar, because I don't think that. But I do think he is intentionally conducting narrative warfare at all times. He is constantly putting on psyops. He's constantly publicly negotiating, like Trump always says, or Chris Paul always says. You can't take what he says at face value. And this is a great example of that. He contradicted himself. St. Pete says, decision versus authorization. That's a good point. Got the big sign off. The part about Wyckoff informing Qatar wasn't in the original post. I didn't know there was an original post. Stronger now. Hi, Badlanders. Hi, John. Working and lurking. Leaving a chat. Good to see you. R.R. Hody. Netanyahu does not want peace. Will mean facing judgment for his crimes. Yeah, and I think Burning Bright had a post about that, actually. He's talking about more the sovereign alliance, and this would probably be describing the Ukraine situation instead. But it very much maps on to what we're seeing with Israel and Gaza right now. Russia is calling for peace. China is calling for peace. Trump is calling for peace. EU warmongers are calling for the other thing. God, I don't know why I'm so tired. I'm trying to fight back yawns. Attempting to kick off World War III using a Poland incursion rerun. We're going to get to that here in a second. We're watching the total inversion of the Axis and Allies paradigm. Try to enjoy it. We're going to talk about this tonight, obviously, but there's another situation outside of just this Israel bombing in Qatar to take out Hamas negotiators that took place, and that is this one. Poland downs drones with NATO backing, activates Article 4. Poland shot down drones in its airspace Wednesday with support from Allied military aircraft, marking the first known instance of NATO forces firing during Russia's war in Ukraine. Prime Minister Donald Tusk, for a second, I got held up because like Donald Trump, you mean? But no, Poland's Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, told Parliament it was the closest we have been to open conflict since World War II. Though he added there was no reason to believe we're on the brink of war. He described the incident as a large-scale provocation and said Poland had invoked Article 4 of NATO's treaty, which allows members to request consultations. Polish officials said 19 objects entered its airspace during a major Russian strike on Ukraine, with those deemed threatening destroyed by Polish F-16s and Allied aircrafts. I wonder how they deemed which ones were threatening. NATO sources confirmed Dutch F-35s, Italian AWACS, or AWACs, surveillance planes, and NATO-operated refueling aircraft took part in the overnight operation. Moscow denied responsibility, with Russia's charge d'affaires in Warsaw saying the drones had entered from Ukraine and calling the accusations groundless. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said EU and NATO leaders accuse Russia of provocations most of the time without even trying to present at least some kind of argument. You guys familiar with that ever happening outside of just like global conflicts? Because that happens a lot, where people accuse people of things without even presenting any logical argument. NATO chief Mark Rutte said the alliance was consulting closely with Warsaw and stressed that whether it was intentional or not, it is absolutely reckless. It is absolutely dangerous. A source said NATO was treating the event as an intentional incursion, but not an outright attack. Since its creation in 1949, NATO's Article 4 has been invoked 7 times, most recently in February 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So this is a pretty interesting story. And Trump commented on it. What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go. Yeah, what is with that? How many times, this community always talks about false flags, like all the time. False flags, like around our country, and everything's fake, everything, whatever. I don't think people talk enough about the actual like false flags that take place on a global scale, especially the ones that we have no like direct ties to, that are much harder for us to disprove. Because the only people with the truth about what actually happened here, these drones, are the people who actually sent them and Russia. Now, I mean, sure, it's possible Russia did send them out, but if they're being honest and they didn't, somebody else did. And everybody's just like, oh yeah, intelligence says that this was Russia, so clearly this is a provocation. While they're on the verge, we've been on the verge of peace, whatever that even means. We're on the verge of peace over there. Trump's trying to get that deal negotiated and settled down. He said nice things about India's Modi, who's just there at the Sovereign Alliance Bros get together, whatever, 2025 in China. What if Russia's telling the truth? What does that mean? Like when that stuff comes out, if it comes out, if it ever does, every time this happens, we get these public accusations from NATO and Europe and all the mainstream media and the regime and everybody online, like, oh my gosh, provocation from Russia again. And Trump will play along, as he always does, like he is here. But they never actually show any form of proof or evidence. They're just saying things loudly and more often. And Russia's like, if they address it at all, like, yeah, we didn't do that. And they haven't shown evidence that they did. Why is everybody believing it? But so many people online just go with it. Ramon 222, on the verge of a piece of what? I don't know. Piece of pie would be nice. I smell bullshit with Poland. Yeah, I do too. Bravest, just empty words, propaganda. Yeah, Fat Chance. Like Russia fired the missiles last time, right? Yeah, that's a great point. Because wasn't it good to see you, Fat Chance? It was Ukraine accidentally fired a missile into Poland. Remember this? Back in September of 2023, Polish experts have confirmed that the missile that killed 2 people at a grain facility in southern Poland in November was fired by Ukraine. The explosion of the missile in NATO member Poland fueled fears that the war in Ukraine could spiral into a wider conflict by triggering the alliance's mutual defense clause. But at the time, Warsaw and NATO said that they believed it was a Ukrainian stray, easing worries about escalation. Remember the freak out when that happened? I wonder if I could find posts of that. Russia, let me see, grain facility. Let me Google that quick. Russia bombs Polish grain facility. I'm sure they deleted all of the mainstream media stories about this. I'm going to see if I can find it. Dang it. Yeah, I can't find any actual they're such D-bags. How they scrub the internet for any proof of their psyops or their stories that they want to run with. Like, this is a rerun of the story that we just got about Poland. This is essentially a rerun, except this time it was just drones. They didn't bomb anything, but they incurred on their territory, right? It's a rerun. Yeah. I'll look into this after the show. But we'll see what happens. I think it's bullshit. Kelly Noak, shit is being stirred up in Nepal since China and India have warmed up to each other. False flag, perhaps. John is so still, I can't tell if my screen froze. I was just reading, probably. When did Ukraine become a country? What was Ukraine before it was Ukraine? It was Russia. Ukraine declaring Russia wants war with NATO, the West, and America. Bullshit. Black Hat Destroyer, maybe it looks like this Russian story in Trump's post you referenced earlier has one thing in common. Whispers, soft disclosure. It does seem to be a little bit of soft disclosure. I love it when the audience and you guys tee me up for a plug of the Badlands Media lotion and skincare products. Soft disclosure has been taking the community by storm, the internet by storm. The lotion is amazing. I prefer the unscented, but we have a great lemon scented one. We're coming up with new scents too. We have the tallow bar, which is amazing for all those tough spots on the skin, the really dry areas. The deodorant, I've been using the mint deodorant for like 2.5 weeks, whatever it's been, ever since GART Deadwood. Absolutely love the stuff. I'll never go back to another kind of deodorant again. And I used to go I used to do the Axe stuff. I did the Dove stuff, like the gel stuff or whatever, and I mean it was all right, but at the end of the day, I still kind of like smelt the BO. You know, if you sweat a little too much or get a little too stressed or whatever, I don't get that with the mint stuff, and it just feels so much more natural. I am really starting to enjoy the deodorant, and it lasts forever. It's like 2 months of use. It's crazy. But yeah, the lotion is awesome, guys. And best part about it, softdisclosure.com, is by having our own lotion brand, we are better able to support the creators of Badlands Media, which is the whole point. I changed my channel from Patel Patriot to Badlands in the first place, right? It was to support these creators that I had befriended over the years that I thought were good people. And the ones we got now are amazing people. Instead of commission affiliate deals like we typically do with sponsors, this is what we own. And so we get to, split a bigger pot of profit instead, which is, it's going to be good for us long term. So very excited about this. We're excited about the launch altogether, and it's a great way to support Badlands. And it's not a gimmick, guys. The products are amazing. So thank you for that, Black Hat. Appreciate you. Let's see. Let's talk about India a little bit, because Trump had this to say. Was this yesterday as well? Yes. I am pleased to announce that India and the United States of America are continuing negotiations to address the trade barriers between our two nations. I look forward to speaking with my very good friend, Prime Minister Modi, in the upcoming weeks. I feel certain that there will be no difficulty in coming to a successful conclusion for both of our great countries. The timing of it is notable. It's fresh off the what are they called? Sovereign Alliance Brofest 2025 in China, where they were all hanging out with Xi. It was Xi, Kim Jong-un, Putin, Modi, and all the other guys. They were there for that Victory Day parade or whatever parade they were doing in China. And Trump had like a couple interesting posts of jealousy, almost like, I wish I was there. Have fun conspiring against America. And right when they come out of that, Trump now is putting out a post like, yeah, me and Modi, we're best friends, and we're gonna make a trade deal, and it's gonna be a good one. I think it's hilarious. One with cats. Jon is providing soft disclosure while promoting soft disclosure. And Cabin Girl 62 Badlands creators are top notch. Thank you. Ooh, here's some disclosure that I appreciate from Mimi2Boys X2. Hey, I went 5 days with that deodorant. Of course, I showered, but didn't soap wash underarms. It's the best. Take a look at that. Drifter's Life. Yes, you think long-term, Jon. I can see that. Others who left think short-term, being 5 years, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm always trying to think long-term. Do my best. And it's not always easy. But anyway, there's another post I wanted to show about India. Here we go. And then today, Trump reposted this one. It was a tweet from Modi, and this came after, and I'm sorry, this was yesterday too. It came after his initial India post. And Modi says, India and the U.S. are close friends and natural partners. I am confident that our trade negotiations will pave the way for unlocking the limitless potential of the India-U.S. partnership. Our teams are working to conclude these discussions at the earliest. I'm also looking forward to speaking with President Trump. We will work together to secure a brighter, more prosperous future for both our people. And didn't Trump put huge tariffs on the oil? Like he sanctioned their oil that they were getting from Russia. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see what they come to, like what agreement they come to. because, hey, the H-1B visa program, a lot of those people come from India. A lot of American companies use like call centers and the labor generally of India, which is something that I believe we should stop. I think we should only use Americans for American jobs, right? I mean, it's America first. So, no, I'm curious to see what they come to. I mean, I know that's a wet dream. That's never going to happen. We got this from Trump. Congratulations to Missouri's incredible Republican state legislatures who would just overwhelmingly voted to pass their new, much fairer and improved congressional map. It was my great honor to win Missouri 6 times, including primaries in 2016, 2020, and 2024, getting the highest number of votes for any office in the history of the state. And this new map will give the wonderful people of Missouri the opportunity to elect additional mega Republican in the 2026. But is it just one to elect an additional mega Republican in the 2026 midterm elections? Missouri Senate must pass this map now, as is, to deliver a gigantic victory for Republicans in the Show Me State and across the country. I'll be watching closely. Thank you, Missouri. Make America great again. That's pretty awesome. Is that St. Louis there in the blue? You know, I was thinking when I was down in the cities in Minneapolis for that golf tournament this last weekend and the Badlands meetup, which was awesome, by the way. Shout out to Quinny. The big cities as well. Like I and this is not like a novel idea. I know other people think this and have said this many times, but it really hit me this weekend. Even though there's a whole bunch of, you know, Somalis and people around there, and I know there are liberals that do exist and live there. Pretty much everybody I came into contact with directly, even people I didn't know at the golf tournament, like all sorts of people, they were all conservative and had conservative values. I think people are just so stupid. They don't even understand that the values they hold, they may think they're Democrat and may vote, you know, people who actually do vote Democrat. I think a majority of them actually have conservative values. They just don't even understand that because they grew up thinking that their values aligned with the Democrat Party and they just never shifted. But they don't care enough to do the research or whatever it is. They don't care enough about politics. I mean, maybe some of them don't even vote except for the mail-in ballots that are voted for them. I think I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we fix our election systems, there are going to be very few actually blue districts. Like expect a state like this will be a great example. I don't think St. Louis is that liberal. I guess I've never been there, but maybe it is a shithole. I don't know. You guys in the chat are saying, isn't St. Louis a shithole? CC says the county is lovely though. Okay. CC is also saying she's lived there for 3 years and can attest that it is a shithole. Fix Baynet, that's what most, if not all states should look like. I think they kind of almost do. Elise says, John, they're either evil or just plain ignorant. Have to admit, I never loved NYC. Rock Cuts, yes, Minnesota is majority conservative in opinion, judging by everyone I know and my family there. Yeah, like everybody I know, everybody I went to college with. My brother lives down there. There's very few people that I come into contact with or even hear about that are legitimately liberal. And even the ones who think they're liberal only are because they haven't actually cared enough to look at what their liberal ideology these days actually aligns with. It's so stupid. We got this just out. No inflation. Too late. Must lower the rate. Big. Right now. Powell is a total disaster who doesn't have a clue. President Donald J. Trump. Sometimes I think he just puts these stories out there to keep the pulse up, you know, like keep the story relevant because next week is when the vote is to cut the rate, the 17th. Here's another one. I'm probably gonna have a take on this that I don't know if everybody's gonna agree with, but we're gonna talk about this. I just gotta pull up the post that I wanted to share. So hold for processing while I find this real quick. And then I'll talk about it because this is about the stabbing that took place. Okay, let me find where she posted this, and then I'll show you guys. Man, this gal posts a ton. I'm looking at Carly Bones' Midnight Riders feed. I didn't realize how much she posted. Holy cow. Okay, that's not going to do it. What's this? What's her name again? Oh, there's a story. That's the story I was looking for right underneath the post. Okay. The animal who so violently killed the beautiful young lady from Ukraine who came to America searching for peace and safety should be given a quick, there's no doubt about that, trial and only awarded the death penalty. There can be no other option, President Donald J. Trump. This story down here, Elon Musk pledges $1 million to fund murals across the U.S. This is what I wouldn't say I'm taking issue with it, because I'm not. Like the killing here, which, by the way, like the video from the immediate aftermath showing her reacting to him, she doesn't even look like she got stabbed. Like it's just weird. But let's just take the story at face value, okay? Acknowledging that that's what we're doing. Take the story at face value. She was murdered by this guy. She's Ukrainian, and we are essentially like making her the face of the new America First. And she's Ukrainian. Like I think crimes like this are abhorrent, and there should be accountability for it, and there should be justice for it. But like, we have had senseless murders all over this country. They happen all the time, and they're horrific. This is not the first horrific murder to ever happen, and I just find it interesting that we are basically making this specific case, and it's all the faux America First people, the people we call the Con Inc. or like a lot of the tech bros, Silicon Valley America First people, JD Vance, Elon Musk. A lot of the Con Inc. people are getting on board this thing, pledging money to fund murals of a Ukrainian all over the country. And I just don't know why. It just makes me, I don't know. I don't know if I love that. I feel like there are other victims of violence in this country that are actual Americans that we could put murals up for. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not trying to downplay what happened here, because again, it's abhorrent. It seems like an op. Maybe that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, there's some weird op around this story and how they're trying to use this story. And I'm not even sure what it is. I'm not trying to claim that I know what the op is here. But when all of these people are pushing the same, like literally painting a Ukrainian's face all over the country, there's something weird here. Deb Hurst, 1984. John, I think it's because her face, reaction to being stabbed, touched so many. That could be. Elise says, John, nobody is talking about the retired Alabama professor that was stabbed to death walking her dog in the park. Actually, my girlfriend sent me that picture, or that story. It was in the New York Post. She was walking her dog and like got sliced to pieces and left there to die. And then the guy stole her pickup and like left the dog there. The dog stayed by the owner's body until it was found. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible crime too. But yeah, we're not painting her face on murals all over the country. And this is just it, Fix Bayonet. This is what I was thinking to myself this morning. We don't need her to be our George Floyd. Like, the left took this figure and martyred him, and he was like a druggie. And now the America First movement is making a martyr of somebody who's not even American, right? Okay. PJ Corgan, you're sounding kind of racist, John. Maybe that is. I am maybe racist against Ukrainians. Yeah, there's just something odd with it. John, I think the outrage is because he said he got that white girl. It's racism out in front. I don't agree with a special thing for Ukraine. Maybe that is it. But there's also plenty of examples of racism in this country too. She left a war zone, John, just to move to the war zone here. Yeah, that's a story they're telling us. John, it is an op, however. She is blonde, white, and young. Bay Theater Dave, my fake and gaydar is going off. I've heard you have great fake gaydar as well, Bay Theater, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. Missed Ash's take. What was Ash's take? Where's your take, Ash? Oh, she's not in here. Yeah, I didn't get the chance to watch their show this morning, so I'll have to see. Q Swords 3, John, I sent you the MK Ultra process to explain today. I don't know if that's in my DMs or what, but I'll have to check that out. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of the point. CC says, right? Maybe pledge that money to something that will help the problem. I think I saw Jessica in the chat say, where's it at? Dang, I missed it. Like, couldn't they do something better with that money? And that's kind of my point. Like, what can't we be doing something with this money to help prevent future crimes or fund things that aren't murals all over the? I don't get it. I've never walked by a mural and been like motivated to change my behavior. And I'm wondering if anybody else has. Ramon 222, John, Ash needs to be on daily every day. She is awesome. She is basically on Badlands every single day. But yeah, I agree. I wish we'd get her on here more. Kara B823, how about we just paint Jesus all over everything instead? I'd get on board with that one. Good to see you, Kara. John, she's being made a symbol to rally people to our side, breaking the brainwashing. Yeah, but I understand that, but there are plenty of people that we could do that with. My point is, why her? I mean, and plenty of the explanations given in the chat here are valid. And maybe you guys are right. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. But I do also think that knowing these people and knowing, you guys know I don't trust a lot of the tech bros, nor do I trust Con Inc. And these people, they tried to hijack like storylines and narratives and conduct their own ops to divert the mega movement all the time. And sometimes Trump will go along with it and then break us off later. And sometimes he'll just go along with it and not break us off at all. And sometimes Trump will just go in the opposite direction. We don't know. Like, some of the stuff we have to figure out for ourselves. But when I see all these people who I look to as the wrong people, when I see them all on the same side, pushing the same direction, it tells me I don't want to go down that path, because that's not the direction we should be going. There's something fishy down that dark alley. That's where I'm at with this. John, what do you think Cash will do with the case? I don't know. Cece says, John is mentioning me too much on the stream. He's going to get another comment about how annoying it is to hear about his girlfriend. Gotcha. Okay, but anyway, we'll keep going. So there's only 17 minutes left, and I've not gone through like half the stories I wanted to. Senate Homeland Security Committee seeks additional records from Dr. Fauci in COVID-19 origins investigation. The U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, chaired by Senator Rand Paul, issued a letter on Wednesday requesting that Dr. Anthony Fauci provide additional records and appear before the committee as part of its ongoing investigation into the origins of COVID-19 and high-risk life sciences research. The letter states that the committee has obtained documents suggesting Fauci directed NIH employees to destroy federal records, raising questions about his prior congressional testimony. In June 2024, Fauci testified under oath before the House Senate Select Subcommittee on the COVID pandemic, denying ever deleting official records or obstructing Freedom of Information Act requests. The committee said newly obtained emails, including a February 2nd, 2020 message instructing then NIH Director Dr. Francis Collins to delete this email after you read it, appear to contradict that testimony. Another email from July 20, 2020 told an NIH employee, I don't want to engage anymore with this nonsense, and so please delete this email after you read it. I'm not going to continue further, but yeah, you get the idea. So that story is not going away, and that is a good thing. We do need exposure of that at some point. Chief Justice Roberts temporarily halts orders requiring the Trump administration to distribute $4 billion in foreign aid. This is not the only aid money or grant money, federal dollars, that is going to be ending up at the Supreme Court. This is just the one going to foreign sources. I think it was last week or the week before we had that story of the money going to Harvard, that some district judge or appeals court was like, yeah, Trump, you have to pay it. You have to pay these tax dollars to the entity that has like $50 billion of their own money in their endowment. That's a separate one. But All of these things are coming to the Supreme Court eventually. Anyway, but he granted the Trump administration's request to pause a lower court ruling that required $4 billion in foreign aid to be distributed by the end of the month. Temporary order known as an administrative stay gives the Supreme Court more time to consider the case and requires challengers to respond by Friday. The ruling may complicate efforts by the groups that sued to access the funds Congress had approved. The dispute centers on foreign aid funds approved by Congress but targeted by President Trump, who has long sought to reduce such spending. Earlier this year, a federal judge mostly sided with Trump, but ultimately ruled that withholding the money without congressional approval was unconstitutional, a decision upheld by the D.C. court or circuit. The administration argued that being forced to release the funds undermines the president's authority in foreign affairs. That's a great argument, and one that could be used for this, for the tariffs, for multiple other things, which the tariffs one, I have a story on that here after this. Solicitor General Jon Herold told the court that the district court's order compelled the executive branch to act against its own policies. So we'll see what they do with that. Where's that other story? Hold for processing. Oh, here we go. Supreme Court agrees to hear Trump's tariff case this fall. They're like expediting it too, which is notable. Supreme Court on Tuesday agreed to quickly hear a pair of broad legal challenges to President Trump's use of emergency powers to impose tariffs on countries around the world. By putting the cases on a highly accelerated track with oral arguments in the first week of November, the justices indicated that they likely would resolve the issue quickly, perhaps as soon as the end of the year. The Trump administration is urging a rapid decision. At issue in the case, or cases, are the tens of billions of dollars of tariffs that Trump has collected since February under a nearly 50-year-old law known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. The Congressional Budget Office has forecast Trump's tariffs could reduce the budget deficit by $4 trillion over the next decade if left in place, while economists warn the tariffs could hurt U.S. economic growth and drive up inflation, making it one of the biggest economic issues the Supreme Court has ever faced. The stakes cannot be higher. The president and his administration officials have determined that the tariffs are promoting peace and unprecedented economic prosperity, that the denial of tariff authority would expose our nation to trade retaliation without effective defenses and thrust America back to the brink of economic catastrophe. So, yeah, I think this is huge. The $4 trillion thing is, people who come up with these numbers, they're hardly ever accurate long term. They never play out the way they predict. But I think this is notable because if it could actually reduce the deficit by $4 trillion over the next decade if left in place, that's not taking into account the actual spending cuts, which I do anticipate to come at some point from Trump. And we're going to have a government shutdown here soon, hopefully. And if we don't, it's only because they agreed to spending cuts, in my opinion. I'm probably going to be wrong on that. Maybe I will be wrong. I don't care. But that's how I think it's going to play out. Like, they're going to have to cut the spending at some point. Trump is not going to let the spending at these levels continue. He can't. If he's choosing to operate in the normie battle space and do things through the normie channels and the congressional and legal channels, he's going to at some point have to cut the spending. He's either going to let it go gangbusters and rip the Band-Aid off and just like essentially default and be like, whatever, get the debt forgiven away some other way. End the Fed, as people want. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. I don't know. But if he's not going to do like the drastic exposure disclosure type thing, hard disclosure, not soft disclosure, then he's going to have to do something about the spending problem. And it's a big problem. The Trump administration unveils new strategy to combat childhood chronic disease. So it's a whole strategy. There's like 120 initiatives aimed at reversing decades of failed policies linked to rising childhood chronic diseases. So I'm not going to go through all 120 of them, but I think childhood health is a positive. It's a good thing. DNI Tulsi Gabbard orders NSA to recall classified Venezuela report. This is a weird one, really weird one. Tulsi Gabbard ordered that the National Security Agency was to retract a classified report on Venezuela. It's already classified. Why do they need to retract it? The report focused on Venezuela and Trump's special envoy, Richard Grenell, including details of his communications with Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro, as well as information about Grenell collected by the NSA. After the report's initial release, an unclassified addendum was issued in April instructing staff to recall this report under Gabbard's direction. The addendum ordered the removal of the original report from all manual and digital files, Noting the report itself was accurate and compliant with NSA policies, a senior intelligence official noted that the White House had recently limited the distribution of Venezuela intelligence reporting. One official described the action as highly unusual. I would describe it as that as well, noting that senior intelligence officials generally defer to the agency when recalling reports involving masked U.S. persons. Gabbard as DNI is one of the few policymakers with access to unredacted versions of these reports. So you remember Grinnell, early in Trump's administration, he's like the special envoy to special or complicated extraordinary measures or something. I don't remember his exact title, but it's along those lines. There were communications between Grinnell and Nicolas Maduro directly, the guy we have a $50 million bounty on, and we're saying all these terrible things about. And maybe every one of those terrible things is valid. Totally could be. I'm not as like tuned into Venezuelan politics and geopolitical history and everything to have as good of an opinion as some of these other people like Ghost and Chris Paul would on the Venezuela situation. But if you pair the two things, pair what the mainstream media has been saying about Maduro and what the regime has been saying about Maduro, and even what the Trump administration has kind of been saying about Maduro, especially lately, and then Chris Paul's take on it, recalling communications between Grinnell and Maduro himself over a situation where Grinnell got these Americans released from Maduro. Like, it's like, why would they not want this report to be out there? What is in the report and in those communications? What picture does it paint that they don't want available to other people with specific clearances that would be able to read it? Which, by the way, I do fully believe that there are still plenty of enemy combatants is probably the wrong word, but there's a lot of the enemy still within the intel community and with security clearances. We haven't weeded them all out yet. And there's apparently something in this report that they didn't want him to read. That's fascinating. Oracle stock has boomed 40%, on pace for best day since 1992. Already read that. Sorry, I got to cruise here really quickly through these. There's a book out from Harris. We knew this was coming, but she talks about the Biden reelection and the choice. Like, she couldn't tell him that he should drop out because it was self-serving, all these things. I'm not going to go into detail. There's a lawsuit incoming. FBI leaders fired by Director Kash Patel, including Brian Driscoll and Steve Jensen, filed some kind of action against the Patel and the Bureau. The Patel and the Bureau. Details TK. I don't even know. It's not to come. I don't know what that stands for. But anyway, lawsuit within the FBI that could get interesting. There was this story out there. I'm not going to probably have time to discuss it. Maybe we can discuss this tonight. Otherwise, I'll try to bring it up tomorrow. But Thune apparently has a suitcase nuke, it's a metaphor, and the filibuster's latest blast injury. And it's talking about what Thune is going to do to get some picks through and deal with the filibuster. We'll discuss that later. There's this story that Burning Bright will definitely discuss this tonight, having to do with a Bitcoin fund with gold insurance. The fund will supposedly protect investors from Bitcoin's sometimes huge dips by using the precious metal. Cantor Fitzgerald has debuted a new Bitcoin fund. The fund also gives investors exposure to gold for a downside protection. Gold rose to a record high near 3,680 on Monday, while Bitcoin is trading at about 9% off its all-time best. Wall Street giant Cantor Fitzgerald, who, by the way, if you'll look up who owns Cantor Fitzgerald, their CEO is none other than it's Brandon. It's Howard Lutnick's firm. That's what I'm getting at. It's Howard Lutnick's investment firm, and they're doing a gold-backed, or gold-insured, I should say, Bitcoin. I think that is damn fascinating. We'll talk about it tonight, since I'm almost out of time. All right, that's what I got. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tonight on the Devolution Power Hour. Should be a good show with Burning Bright. That'll be at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Q of Swords in the chat says, John, here's a Twitter link. Let me check that out real quick. Hold for processing. Okay, this is what it is. It's kind of long. I'm not going to read the whole thing right now. this was definitely written by AI. So, but I'll give it a read here after the stream. And then 12 Indie Boy for $5 says, Cece, it's only annoying when John mentions his girlfriend to people that haven't interacted with you at GART. I think it gives the document guy a human touch. See y'all on Cocoa Beach. JC approves. Thank you, Ty. Don't let it go to your head, Cece. All this attention now. Thank you, everybody, tuning in. Hit that thumbs up, and I will see you tonight on the Devolution Power Hour. You guys have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Read all about it.
2, 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me? Stopping me.